Welcome in to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
We got a long way to go because of inflation, because of the Putin tax increase.
The American people are going to blame Joe Biden.
There's an impending recession.
Do we believe we're in recession? No. That's my answer to you.
My friends, there should be a new prime minister.
We are doing everything we can to get Brittany home.
We are not going to ever be quiet until she's home safely.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Got a trade? Then get to Greenville Toyota. We're out to buy 500 local trades, and we'll buy you out with our best offer. Or trade in for a new Toyota and get our Greenville Advantage with no-cost lifetime maintenance and more. Don't miss the trade buyout at Greenville Toyota.
Hey, we're at Maribella's in Greenville, the new location of Maribella's on Fire Tower Road. If you haven't been to this place yet, let me tell you, you are missing out. I want to introduce my friends from Maribella's. I've got Sal, Massimo, and Pietro here. These guys are awesome. Not only do they make great food, they do a lot of things for the community, which we're going to be talking about. But Sal, let's start with you. Let's talk about the new location of Maribella's on Fire Tower Road. I'm a regular here. I love it. You guys call it Old World Pizza. Tell us what's different about your pizza.
Well, we got two kinds of pizzas. We have the traditional, American style, and then we have the Old World Pizza, which is made with fresh mozzarella. And, the way they do it in Italy.
Massimo, when you talk about doing this food right, it's authentic. And when I talk about authentic, you grew up in Italy, so you grew up with this food. You know how to make it.
Yeah, because we grew up in Italy, we know the ingredient. And everything we do from scratch. And the right ingredient, it's been hard for us to bring over here. And now finally we can get the right ingredient to make a right pizza.
All right, now I'm going to talk to my friend Pietro here at Maribella's. He's got the Nino's shirt on today. We're going to talk about Nino's, which is another great dining experience, upscale dining experience, on another segment upcoming. But Pietro, let's talk about Maribella's. For people who've never been to Maribella's, what's the experience going to be like when they come here? Not only pizzas, but pastas, salads, sandwiches, you got it all.
Yes, we do. We have new sandwiches that we put in this new location, and we're going to spread it to the other locations.
The guys here at Maribella's have won national pizza competitions, so you know it's good. Thanks to Sal, Massimo, and Pietro. Folks, do yourself a favor. Come to the new Maribella's here on Fire Tower Road in Greenville, or Maribella's on Greenville Boulevard, or Maribella's in Washington on Carolina Avenue. Also, don't forget upscale dining at Nino's on Red Banks Road.
It pays to pre-order at Greenville Toyota. Camrys, Corollas, Tundras, RAV4s, Highlanders, and more are on the way. Pre-order yours today. Plus, get more for your trade. It pays to pre-order at Greenville Toyota.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
This is your Drive at 5 and ENC with Tom Lamprecht. Welcome back to News and Views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Your category, Secret Service. Okay, we'll play that in just a little bit. Got a good prize package for you. So, President Joe Cousinetti decided he was going to give out some Presidential Medal of Freedom medals to certain Americans. And interestingly, he gave one out to soccer star Megan Rapinoe. And what is pro-American about her? Is there anything pro-American? She hates America, and yet she gets a medal of freedom.
Well, if you go through the list, I mean, you'll see, you know, they pick so many people from categories that they try to, segregate voters, and she represents, number one, Donald Trump haters, number two, American haters, and she's trying to represent LGBTQ, whatever,
Bingo.
all the numbers and stuff.
Bingo.
So, you know, but
and Richard Trumka, how about that?
yeah, AFL-CIO,
Thug.
strong-arm thug. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, that's where they get their votes from. So
Denzel Washington. Now he was on the list to get one of the medals, and he said, "I'm not showing up." Didn't show. Now the White House said, "Oh, he had previous engagements, and he might have had COVID, and he had leprosy, and so he couldn't come." But
you know, we talked before air. You know, Denzel most of the time is kind of apolitical, but he's certainly no liberal, and he's more conservative and more of a, you know, he talks about his faith very openly.
Oh, yeah.
Very openly. And, you know, one of the few people in Hollywood that's been married to the same woman his entire career, you know, which kind of is a rarity.
yes, that is a rare breed. Just FYI to our producer Clark, we have no audio on TV, Clark. There's no audio. That we're having some technical issues if you're listening over the radio, and just passing along information as it is being texted to me.
Well, with the theme of the Biden administration today and Joe Biden, it's the Russians' fault.
Oh, there you
Maybe
go.
it's the Russians. We'll blame it on
It's
the Russians.
Putin's fault. Remember yesterday we had a caller who called in and was commenting about the fact that the North Carolina State Board of Elections denied the Green Party a spot on the state's ballot. The News and Observer is reporting that days before the North Carolina Green Party was denied a spot on the state's ballot, a powerful Democratic-aligned law firm submitted several complaints to the State Board of Elections asking the hundreds of signatures from the party's petition campaign be thrown out. Today, the State Boards of Election voted 3-2 to deny the Green Party's certification, citing concerns of fraud. The vote was taken along party lines, with all Democrats voting against certification. Pat Gannon, a spokesperson for the state board, said the individuals being investigated are suspected of being responsible for well over 2,000 signatures. Chris Cooper, a political scientist at Western Carolina, said many signatures are expected to be thrown out in any petition campaign, though in this case is unique in the level of interest and intervention it caused. Quote, "I think it makes this case different, as it does appear that the Democrat Party had a vested interest in the outcome and did what they could to influence it." The Elias Group, yeah, there's a familiar name for you, Mark Elias. The Elias Group, a Washington-based firm with ties to the Democratic politicians, submitted at least 3 letters to the state board and 4 complaints to county boards, which were made public as a part of the meeting's material. All these materials were submitted by Michael Venezuela's Abakowitz, who worked for the North Carolina Democrats, along with his lawyer, Jacqueline Lopez, a partner at the Elias Group. So, in other words, and by the way, who would be the biggest single entity that would be hurt? Not that the Green Party is going to accumulate hundreds of thousands of votes.
No, they're not going to win. No.
But which party would be hurt worse by the Green Party being in there? It's not conservatives. It would be liberals all the way.
If the Green Party, they would either not vote or vote for Democrats, plain and simple. There probably would not be one that would vote for Republican. You know, the interesting thing is the Supreme Court of the United States is getting ready to hear a case based on the North Carolina legislative maps and that type of thing. And it's interesting that this comes up now because the last election when Mark Elias and Josh Stein, you know, one of the things they allowed the state elections board to just say, the heck with signatures. to heck with worrying about if Tom Lamprecht was actually Tom Lamprecht, if he could sign his name.
Right.
But now,
all you got to do is sign an X, and we don't have to verify that was your X.
And the state election commissioner or executive, whatever her title is, Miss Bell, I'm telling you, she is in the Democrats' pocket, plain and simple.
By the way, the case you just referred to, the North Carolina case, I'm trying to look. What was the name of that case? Moore versus Harper.
Yeah.
Moore versus Harper. Vox, not Fox, but Vox News, which is a liberal outlet. Their headline, when they covered this story today, their headline was, "A new Supreme Court case is the biggest threat to U.S. democracy since January 6th." So this is the liberals' view that, in their view, the idea that following the Constitution, which makes it real clear, the North Carolina Constitution, and for that matter, our U.S. Constitution, makes it real clear that it is up to the state legislators to draw the maps, to make the laws concerning election law. It's a constitutional issue. And what does Vox say? A new Supreme Court case is the biggest threat to the United States democracy since January 6th. And the next line is Moore versus Harper is a grave threat to U.S. democracy.
You know, for years, the conservatives and people in the media, in the conservative media, have talked about, the Democrats were anti-Constitution, but now they don't hide it. I mean, they clearly are anti-Constitution and do not hide this fact now. I mean, here's the deal. I mean, with this particular case, I mean, how could you argue that that's anti-Constitution or it's another, like comparing that to the so-called insurrection? And these are the same people that will go up with elected officials and say F. Clarence Thomas.
Yep.
Like the mayor of Chicago.
Yep.
And Joe Biden and other Democrats in Congress absolutely silent when people go to the Supreme Court courthouse steps and protest and say, let your voices be heard, stand back and don't say anything, let the law be broken when they go to the Supreme Court's neighborhood. I mean, that's the real insurrection. That's the only insurrection that's happened in the last 2 years, is the insurrection against the United States Supreme Court.
Speaking of which, the group Jane's Revenge, which is clearly an Antifa group, they have sent out a letter, basically, and Harry Reeder and I talked about this on a Today in Perspective that's going to air next Monday. But it's really interesting. They've sent out a letter basically saying, if you don't reverse yourself on this Roe v. Wade thing in the next 30 days, you think it's bad now, wait till the next 30 days passes, and then it's really going to get bad. They said, we're versatile, we're mercurial, and we have to answer to no one but ourselves. And, of course, this is the group that is going around threatening the Supreme Court justices, burning down pro-life pregnancy centers, putting graffiti, throwing Molotov cocktails through windows. And that's bad enough. We know they're despots. We know they're domestic terrorists. But Elizabeth Warren, there was an article just today in Town Hall, Elizabeth Warren,
the pretendian,
the Indian princess, she has come out and basically declared war on crisis pregnancy centers. A bunch of tweets she sent out in the last 24 hours. We need to put a stop to crisis pregnancy centers right now. With Roe gone, it's more important than ever to crack down on these so-called crisis pregnancy centers that mislead and deceive patients seeking abortion care. My bill with Senator Menendez would stop this harmful practice. In Massachusetts, so-called crisis pregnancy centers outnumber legitimate abortion care providers 3 to 1. We need to crack down on deceptive practices these centers use to prevent people from getting abortion care, and I've got the bill to do just that. So she's declaring war on the crisis pregnancy centers that don't get a nickel of federal dollars. Just Planned Parenthood last year got $600 million, and she's complaining that why are there 3 to 1 pro-life centers versus abortuaries? And I mean, could we have a liberal Democrat that would come out and condemn Jane's Revenge, condemn the protesters that are at the Supreme Court justice? As you just said, this is insurrection. And what even makes it worse is the insurrection by Merrick Garland, who's not doing his job.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know the Senate passed a bill that would offer extra protection to the Supreme Court justices, and Nancy Pelosi's House didn't even debate it. But the fact is, there are already laws on the books that would say what you're doing, protesters, when you're going to these Supreme Court justices' homes, and clearly they want them to change their decision on the Dobbs case that overturned Roe and Casey. Clearly that's their intention, and clearly that right now is against the law, and they should be arrested and to report.
You know, you would think there would be some men and women, stand-up men and women in the Department of Justice that would come forward and say, this is not what I signed up for. I signed up to protect and defend the Constitution and the law of the United States.
Thank you.
And we've got Merrick Garland and Joe Biden just ignore not only this. You know, you look at the things, and we might have a story on it later, I don't know, but you just look at the things with the Hunter Biden case where there's over 150 transactions by U.S. banks that have been kicked out saying these are transactions that need to be looked at, and the Department of Justice and the United States Treasury will not let Congress look at it.
Yep.
I mean, is there not any rule of law in the Department of Justice? And it's time for somebody to stand up and say, if I lose my job, I lose my job, but you know, I swore to protect and defend the Constitution.
And you would also think, along with that there would, now I know conservative journalism is covering this up one side and down the other, but you would think there would just be a journalist out there that's a part of the mainstream media that would say, I'm going to report on this. Now, granted, I realize they're probably being threatened. If you cover this, you're going to get fired. But do you not think there would be one reporter out there that would say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and cover this. I know I'm going to get fired, but hopefully my career will actually take a step forward because of the integrity of trying to seek out and report the truth. Maybe some other network will pick me up, or you know, my popularity, my stock will rise amongst the American people. But no one is covering this like they should in the mainstream media.
And you would think, I'm not going to sit here and try to say that I'm a journalist. I mean, I'm a commentator, and I have an obvious slant.
You're a sweet tater.
Yeah, but what in the heck, are there anyone out there, any journalist out there that has integrity to, you know, every day at the White House press briefing, you have Peter Doocy, and occasionally you might have one or two others. And when the press secretary just shoots him down from basically obviously telling a lie, and they're silent. They're absolutely silent. And when Donald Trump or Donald Trump's press secretary was in Washington, they could not even get a word out without being interrupted over and over and over again.
Yes.
I mean, if it's not obvious to every American, then my gosh, if it's not obvious to you, you're just plain stupid. That's all I got to say.
In my pile of stories here, I'm trying to look for it now, but there was a question asked by a journalist from Africa yesterday to the press secretary. I'm trying to find it in my pile here, but I don't see it. I must have tossed it after yesterday's program. But he was asking the press secretary, again, why is I'm trying to remember what the question was, but she just passed on it. But as you said that, I thought it was really interesting. The only person yesterday, other than Peter Doocy, that would ask a penetrating question to Jean-Pierre was a journalist from the continent of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot find anybody in this country that seems to be able to ask a decent probing question.
Yeah, whoever it was will probably have their press pass taken away because nobody knows who they are, so they'll just take it away so nobody will be wiser that watches those things.
Hey, we got to take a time out. Stay with us. Political trivia coming up in just a little bit. Don't call yet. Call in a little bit. We'll be right back.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Another rock and roll weekend.
Burgers, better with Pepsi.
You know that moment when you realize your hair color is way past its prime? Or that you need a change and you hope it comes in the form of perfectly sun-kissed highlights? And at Fantastic Sam's, we offer real salon services at real people prices. Our color specialists can do it all. They make grays disappear, layer in subtle highlights, or help you finally find that perfect shade of red. All for real reasonable prices.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Another rock and roll weekend.
Burgers, better with Pepsi.
107.9 WNCT presents the final Concert on the Common, Thursday, June 30th, with Chicago Rewired. Join us in Uptown Greenville for the Concert on the Common with Chicago Rewired, Thursday, June 30th, with 107.9 WNCT.
Back to news and views.
I hear the intro.
Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right. Hey, here we are. Are we back on? Thank you for your text and messages. Live radio, sometimes that happens. We were... Benny was on. He was doing a solo show.
If any the folks that are texting me, if we sound better now, text me a thumbs up.
Anyway,
it was the Russians' fault.
Is that right? Okay.
Just like the Putin price hike, I guess.
Take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight, a low around 75 with an 80% chance of thunderstorms coming through. We need the rain. Tomorrow, variable clouds with scattered thunderstorms, some containing gusty winds, a high near 88. Chance of rain tomorrow, 60%. Tomorrow night, chance of rain, 70% with a low of 75. Saturday, scattered thunderstorms once again in the morning, becoming widespread in the afternoon. So,
there's some scattered thunderstorms right now. I'm looking at some through Greene County and just east of Greenville towards Washington. So we're starting to get a little bit.
Today is National Chocolate Day.
Fried chicken yesterday and chocolate today. So it's fried chicken yesterday and chocolate pie tonight.
That's right. Yeah, we'll kill you if you keep listening to the program. Did you hear actor James Caan passed away?
Yeah,
82 years old.
Yeah, James Caan. Every time I think he was in several Western movies. He was obviously in The Godfather, Misery. You ever seen a movie Misery?
Yes,
he played
that was a weird one.
That was a spooky one with what's her name?
It was a heavyset actress.
Yeah, she's a very good actress. Can't think.
He
of her
was
name.
in El Dorado with John Wayne.
That's right.
That was
Eldorado.
one of his first big movies.
His name was Mississippi in that movie.
Yeah. Was it Mississippi or Arizona?
I thought he was Mississippi.
It probably was Mississippi.
He toted a double.
Kathy Bates. Yeah, I remember that. Quick look at your weather forecast brought to you by Ironwood Golf and Country Club. Whether you're looking to spend your summer poolside, courtside, or greenside, Ironwood Golf and Country Club offers a variety of memberships tailored to fit your lifestyle with no initiation required.
And listen, if you're headed to the beach this summer, pack your clubs because Ironwood members receive reciprocal golf and dining privileges at the Beaufort Club in Beaufort and Compass Point Golf Club and Magnolia Greens located near Wilmington. Contact Membership Director Jenna Doyle, 252-752-4653, to join in the fun at Ironwood today, a part of the Renaissance Golf Group. So Joe Biden's White House has decided to take down 4 classic paintings by Norman Rockwell that were these were featured at the White House since back in George W. Bush's administration. So they've been there since 1978. Does that sound right? Yeah, they've been there since 78, and they were moved down to the lower press hallway during George W. Bush's administration. And what have they replaced them with? Now, the White House, after this made news, they said, well, the Rockwell family wanted them back. So after almost 50 years, they decided, hey, I'd like to have those paintings back. So what do they replace them with? They replace them with a bunch of large photos of Cousin Eddie.
No,
Yes.
really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness!
If you remember, Rockwell.
I mean, are we in like Chairman Mao's China? Or are we in Stalin?
Huh?
I mean, good gracious!
I don't know if you have the genuflex when you walk by one of them.
I mean, I could see Barack Obama doing that just because he was the ultimate narcissist. But good gracious!
Yeah. Well, Joe's trying to keep up with Obama, but. The paintings that were taken down were classics. Rockwell painted 4 paintings, and it's a series of paintings that were called "So You Want to See the President." And it was a series featuring various high-profile Americans waiting to meet with the president at the White House. And those were not good enough. We had to take them down, send them back, pack them up, send them back, and replace them with large blow-up photos of Cousin Eddie.
I did not see this story, so I did not know where that story was going, but I fully expected you to say they were actually going to have Mattel's promotional poster of Ken and Barbie, the new pregnant Ken doll.
Is that true?
There's a pregnant Ken doll coming out. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. He is a birthing person.
A birthing person.
And it looks, as Elon Musk says, it looks a lot like Bill Gates.
The emoji, the pregnant man emoji does look like Bill Gates. That's a great segue to this story out of Fox News this afternoon. The National Education Association passed a resolution during their annual representative assembly in Chicago that would allocate $140,000 to conduct opposition research on 25 organizations that are supposedly attacking gender identity and sexual orientation freedoms in public schools. Yeah, there's if you're looking on Facebook or Cable 7, there's Pregnant Ken. Is that a But then, is that a joke or is that legitimately from Mattel?
I think it's legitimate, isn't it, Clark?
You can't make it up.
It actually looks like a skinny man with a beer gut.
Anyway, getting back to the National Association of Education, National Education Association, the teachers union, there was actually one overture. They call them NBIs, or new business items. There was one item that didn't pass, but it was, we are no longer going to call the parents of the students mother or father. We're going to call them non-birthing parent, non-birthing person, or birthing person. But they went ahead with this. They're going to attack. They've got an enemies list, and they're going to spend $140,000. Now, recognize a lot of these dollars are from the dues that the teachers, the members of the union, have to pay, but a lot of these dollars are subsidized by you, the taxpayer. It says the NEA shall compile research to create fact sheets about the largest 25 organizations that are actively working to diminish a student's right to honesty in education freedom of sexual and gender identity, teacher autonomy, which means no teacher is going to be held accountable. You can do whatever you want. And listen, what we're talking about here is what we were actually had local parents in last fall that they were fighting. Remember the books that we found in Pitt County schools?
Oh, yeah.
That were basically pornographic books. And was it Taylor Keith? Taylor Keith was in, and we talked to him several times, who were just, these parents were livid and they were fighting it. And if you're an organization that would fight these kind of things, the National Education Association has voted to spend $140,000. Now, granted, I realize that per state that's not that much, but all told, they've got a lot of money that they can. And what they'll do is they'll target some group that they feel like we really have a good chance at taking these people out, vilifying them, maybe even bringing a suit against them for damages, so they want to scare you off. The cost for compiling the list and for the research would amount to $140,000. The research would include probing into groups' funding sources, the leaders of the organization, can you say doxing, connections to known entities that are seeking to dismantle public education, organization headquarters, and chapter locations. Nicole Niley of Parents Defending Freedom, or Parents Defending Education, I should say, said that she was very concerned about the resolution. It's not surprising that the unions would compile an enemies list. The NEA policies are deeply unpopular with the average American family, and I suspect with many of their rank-and-file membership, which means they must enforce their ideology through bullying and intimidation. The research on the 25 organizations will be sent out to state affiliates so they can be armed with information to organize against attacks on public education. Other resolutions that were passed during the conference were seen as critics to have anti-Israel and anti-Semitic implications. For example, MBI 13 would allocate $9,000 for defending educators advocating for Palestinian narrative. The union also passed resolutions relating to ensuring various anti-LGBTQ plus legislation around the country, making sure they're defeated. MBI 41 stipulated that NEA would take all necessary steps to overturn Florida's parental rights in education law. Some resolutions that did not become adopted, the one I just mentioned, there was also a resolution that would proclaim that there is an institutional homophobia and transphobia in schools. That was ultimately withdrawn. They probably withdrew that because they said, wait a minute, listen, we liberals are in charge. We can't accuse ourselves of that, can we? Another resolution, MBI 63, which ultimately did not meet a voice vote, was for changing the word mother to birthing person. Kamala Harris, by the way, praised the NEA yesterday.
Well, back to our story, because we want to be factual here at News and Views, but according to Reuters, the Ken doll originated on Babylon Bee, so that was satire.
That's why I keep saying, are you sure?
but that's how crazy things have gotten. You really have to scratch your head at every satirical story and say, is that true or not?
Well, speaking of scratching your head on stories, Prime Minister Boris Johnson resigned today. Now, the question is, will he leave right away or will he hang around till a new prime minister is appointed or is put into office? And I looked and looked this afternoon. Okay, what was the exact reason for why he was in so much trouble? And apparently he also has the same issue that Gavin Newsom, who's still the governor of California. Boris was partying when when everybody else was under lock and key and wearing a mask during COVID. He was out having a big time.
Yeah.
But apparently what put it over the top, this is out of Breitbart, despite desperate attempts to cling to power, Mr. Johnson was forced to resign after 59 government aides and cabinet ministers resigned following the sexual impropriety scandal involving the prime minister's former deputy chief, Christopher Pincher, whom Johnson promoted to the role despite previously being informed of Pincher's past sexual allegations made against the then Troy MP. Yet in defiant fashion, Mr. Johnson cast blame to the political system in London. now the only thing is I find really curious about this is Boris Johnson was forced to resign. Apparently, the straw that broke the camel's back was he was forced to resign because he didn't condemn the sexual activity of someone. I mean, isn't that basically what it's saying here? That this guy Pincher did some sexual impropriety, and now I don't know if it's illegal. I don't know if there was a lawsuit against the guy. I don't know that much information about it. But in this day and age, are you allowed to judge something that someone does when it has something to do with your sexuality? I thought that was a big no-no.
Particularly in Great Britain. I mean,
Yeah.
really, because, they're a little bit loosey-goosey over there, so to speak.
Well, apparently this guy did a loosey-goosey on somebody he shouldn't have.
What is that? What is your term? The horizontal shuffle?
Yeah, well, I think it was the horizontal goose. Hey, listen, we got to take another time out. Stay with us. More news and views coming up.
And we're on location today at Fabric and Home Furnishings in Arlington Village here in Greenville. One of my favorite people. We've got Lisa Pendry here. And Lisa, big news. You've been working on the store. It looks fantastic. You finally have finished the transformation of the store. You've got your Norwalk Gallery open. Give us the whole story here.
We are excited. It's been a big process. It's taken us a while, but now all of our renovations complete, from paint colors to little elegant showroom areas to highlight everything we offer here at Fabric and Home Furnishings.
And we say that it's a furniture store and so much more. And of course, that means you also have designers on staff. So tell us about that. You got some new folks.
I do. I've got some new designers that we've added to our team that can come out to your home, walk you through the whole process, help you as much as you need us to pull your home together.
And there's a big party coming on June 16th. You've got your Norwalk Furniture grand opening gala, and it's going to be a big party here in the store, and that sounds like a lot of fun. Tell us about it.
It is. We hope to have dignitaries like Henry Hinton.
I'll be here.
And PJ Conley is going to come, our mayor. Lots of fun people. All of my designers that shop here are going to be here in the community, and we're going to have some champagne and some hors d'oeuvres, representatives from Norwalk, and just have a big night of fun and festivities and education on what we offer.
I'll tell you, the store is packed right now. I know a lot of furniture stores are still having trouble getting inventory, but you guys have a lot of stuff people can buy right off the floor.
We do, Henry. We invested in a warehouse, and we've added lots of inventory so you can just have it delivered or pick it up the day you buy it. So lots of sofas, chairs, everything in performance fabric so you can enjoy your furniture.
And you started 12 months same as cash.
We did start that so we can help with everything that's going on in the world right now.
All right, Fabric and Home Furnishings here in Arlington Village. Don't forget the big party, the grand opening gala for the Norwalk Gallery, coming up on June 16th at 5:30, big ribbon cutting, and it's going to be a big party. So I'll be here. You need to be here too. Thanks to Lisa for the update.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Empty lots at car dealers everywhere, except here. The selection you want.
A collection of question marks.
There's a lot of questions.
Why? How? No logic, no reason, no explanation. Just a prolonged nightmare.
Worst nightmare of their lives.
This long nationwide nightmare.
We'll start collecting clues as to the whys, the whats, and the wheres.
Neighborhood by neighborhood. Literally knocking on doors.
This is your worst nightmare.
The nightmare.
It would be a nightmare.
Worst nightmare.
We will not end the nightmare. We'll only explain it.
Explain to us.
Because this
is News and Views with Tom and Benny on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome back in. I think we've got most of our technical difficulties straightened out. The Washington Examiner, along with a number of other media outlets, is questioning whether or not the Biden crime family has actually gotten involved in international prostitution. Now, those aren't my words. Those are actually the words of Senator Ron Johnson. We have that clip. Here's Ron Johnson from earlier today talking about the Biden crime family.
When you have $5 a gallon gas, the media can't cover that up for Joe Biden. They can't cover up skyrocketing grocery prices. So this transformation of America is hurting real people, and the media can't cover up for it. I'm highly concerned in terms of Joe Biden's compromise, the fact that he might have funded his son's use of potentially escorts in part of a sex scandal, a global sex scandal, or sex operation is also troubling. The Department of Justice, from what we can tell, is doing nothing to investigate or prosecute that.
This is really interesting. A number of banks were not allowing Hunter's credit cards to be charged because these bills were popping up for Hunter that had they were earmarked for a payout to Russia. Well, there actually was $30,000 worth of payouts over 5 months in I think it was November 2018 to March 2019. $30,000 that went to Russian prostitutes. What's interesting about this is he calls up his dad. The Washington Examiner got these text messages off of Hunter Biden's laptop. Hunter Biden's. Why would you keep all this incriminating evidence on your laptop, and then you take it to a computer shop and you don't even bother to pick it up? I mean, how drugged out was this guy? But anyway, he texted. He called. He was texting his dad and said, "Hey, I need $100,000," and he said the money was for his rehabilitation. I didn't know Russian prostitutes could rehabilitate someone with drug issues. But so Hunter takes that $100,000, spends $30,000 of it towards his bill with the Russian prostitutes. It was really interesting. There was a go-between by some gal named Eva, and Eva put Hunter on the naughty list, not because he was doing the horizontal shuffle with prostitutes, but because
he's a deadbeat.
He was a deadbeat. And Hunter is upset. He can't pay his bills because the banks wouldn't pay them because they realized, wait a minute, this is going to somebody in Russia. We have no idea who it is. We're trying to protect Hunter. And in the meantime, Hunter's trying to do everything he can to destroy himself and his dad.
And all we heard for 2 years was Russia, 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 Russia. And it looks like, the Russia that was going on was Hunter Biden and probably Joe Biden helping finance it. I mean, this is kind of a side story related to this in a way, but, the Ghislaine Maxwell big trial, and, she was sentenced to, 20 or 30 years,
20 years
for sex trafficking for minors. I mean, can you believe that we went through that trial? Never was anything live. Never was any tapes released. No client list. But we've got somebody that's gone to prison for the rest of her life at her age. She's early 60s. And there's no clients. Who was the clients? No one knows who the clients are. So she got convicted of a crime. It's kind of like I go to jail for
I thought it was constitutional right that you had to met your accusers.
Well,
right?
I go to jail. Imagine going to jail for being convicted of murder and there's no body.
Yeah.
There's no dead body. Well, there's this.
Well, there were victims. The girls that it was done to were the victims.
But there's got to be a other end of that transaction.
Yeah.
And that's the client.
Yeah. That's true. If she's being accused of trafficking, who did the payouts? Well, I don't think we'll ever know. Sorry to say that. I don't think we'll ever know. And once again, we've got the Merrick Garland Department of Justice doing very little about this.
Doing nothing.
Very little about this. Chuck Grassley, Ron Johnson, they have come out and said, we take over the House, we take over the Senate. Hunter Biden better get his Ambien prescription up because he'll be losing sleep big time.
Well, he's got something for that. It's called crack.
Ron Johnson added, as bad as the sleaze and corruption of the Biden Incorporated family is, what troubles me even more is the complicity and corruption of the legacy media and certain elements within our federal law enforcement and intelligence agencies. That corruption needs to be investigated. And, as you said earlier, everybody's talking about what happened on January 6th. Frankly, January 6th pales in comparison with what's going on here, because you have so many government agencies complicit in this, and the media complicit in this.
And that's they throw out that term, the deep state. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, where are the people that's their jobs is to protect against this kind of thing? I mean, they're in collusion, and journalists are in there with them.
Yeah. The other thing that is just extremely disturbing. I mean, yesterday we had the story about how we had 500 million barrels of petroleum sent to Europe and Asia.
It was 5 million, I think, barrels.
Was it 5 million?
I think it's 5, which is basically 5 days worth of oil.
Regardless, and apparently some of that went to China. But what the decisions that we have this president making, I mean, we might not ever know. I hope we do one day. But how many of these terrible decisions, where you see these decisions, you say, my gosh, what side is this guy on? Is he being blackmailed?
It makes you wonder, which, and I know he's not making any of these decisions. I mean, he really can't hold a thought in his head, and he can read whatever's on the transcript and whatever's on the teleprompter. But it makes you wonder who's behind making these decisions. And when you see the people in the Biden administration, I mean, like his chief economic advisor, his entire career he's worked for political campaigns. What in the hell does he know about the economy, number one? But then you've got people in the Energy Department, this Granholm or whatever her name is, that used to be the governor of Michigan. She didn't have any energy experience. And you just go right on down the list, and you got Ivy Leaguers that work for Democrat campaigns. They've got to be the one that's running this country, and they don't know anything.
No.
And Biden can't he's not making decisions.
Gateway Pundit is reporting the father of the man who fatally shot 7 people during the 4th of July celebration has done an interview with media during which he claimed that his murderous son had good morals. I can't make it up. Speaking to ABC 7 in Chicago, Robert Crimo Jr., who ran for mayor in the town there where the shooting occurred, took no responsibility for helping his son obtain guns. Quote, 13 hours earlier, I spent almost an hour with them, sitting in the backyard talking about the planet, the atmosphere, and nothing. Great mood. I'm just shocked, Crimo said. I think 3 days before the 4th, my wife asked him, hey, do you have any plans for the 4th? He simply said no. The elder Crimo said he does not know what his son's motives were and would like to ask him. That's what I'd like to ask him when I see him. I mean, there's this kind of definitive act. It's senseless act of violence. There's no need for it, Crimo said. But at the same time, in the same interview, he said he had good morals.
Oh, my goodness.
An investigation by the state police currently underway into the father's sponsorship of the son obtaining firearm owner's identification card in 2019, which enabled him as a minor to obtain firearms. Crimo had already had several run-ins with police during the year. This is the younger son, including a suicide attempt in April. There was a story out in the Wall Street Journal. I think Laura Ingraham did a story on this a couple of nights ago, but a detailed story by Alicia Finley of the Wall Street Journal talking about the connection of the heavy use of cannabis and these mass shootings and the violence that's taking place. And it is a really interesting read. We don't have enough time to get into details of it, but basically 2 things are happening. You see a huge increase in these mass shootings. A high percentage of these people that are involved in these mass shootings, as the perpetrator of the mass shootings, had heavy marijuana use. And of course, you now have states, in Colorado, it's a $33 billion industry. You have the potency of the cannabis, the THC, is 4 times higher than it was 10 years ago, 20 times higher than it was back in the 1960s.
Wow.
And this idea that, they call me mellow yellow, you ain't mellow anymore. I mean, it is causing all kinds of violent responses to the people that are taking the cannabis, smoking it, eating it, whatever they do with it. I'm so naive when it comes to this kind of stuff. But cannabis-induced psychosis is common. There are some of the hospitals in Colorado, the emergency rooms are full because they don't have enough room to put these people that are using the cannabis. They don't have room for them in the psych ward. But that is a common denominator. It'll be interesting to see if states like Colorado look into it. Hey, we got to run. We'll do it again tomorrow at 5. See you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right.